You're listening to the Boomtime Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast. For over 50 episodes, Boomtime has been the professional source for marketing information and inspiration. For more articles and episodes, visit us at boomtime.com, and be sure to subscribe to the Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast on your iPhone or Android device to listen on the go. Now here's your host, JP Clement.
Welcome to the Boomtime Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast. This is week one of our 8-week deep dive into the marketing funnel. In this series, we're covering the fundamentals of digital marketing, and we're going to have a deep dive into your company's marketing funnel, covering one per week with a series of questions answered by Boomtime marketing experts. This week, we have JP Clement, our CEO, and we're talking about awareness. JP, why are awareness campaigns important?
Well, very important because, if nobody knows about you, there is no way they will be able to do business with you. So the awareness, which is a step one in the funnel, and our first topic of conversation this week, is critical. Obviously, you need to be part of the consideration set, and to be part of the consideration set, you need to be on people's radars, which means they need to be aware of at least your existence.
What is awareness in the B2B space?
Well, it's obviously a little bit different from awareness in the B2C space, which is what we're, as customers or consumers ourselves, we're better used to. So in the B2C space, it's relatively easy because you can just do a TV campaign, a radio campaign. You can just do an internet-based campaign where you can plaster your advertising onto and put it in front of millions and millions and millions of people, because you're not very targeted. For B2B companies, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to be targeted. You're only talking to a specific set of companies. And to do that, then to create that awareness is a little bit trickier. But there still are great tools in the digital space for B2B awareness. But because of the need for very precise targeting, there are some tools that work better than some other tools. And I think businesses have to be aware of what works and what doesn't work in terms of creating awareness for their own business.
In terms of awareness, how important is branding in B2B? I mean, for me, it's everything in B2C. But in B2B, it's a little bit different. Do you think it's still important in this day and age to have a strong brand?
Yes, definitely. I come from the B2C background, but then switched to B2B about 10 years ago. And you're right. I mean, in the B2C space, it's pretty much everything. In the B2B space, it's also very important, and a lot of people may not realize that. I think people discount or disregard branding for B2B companies as important because they have a very narrow view of what branding is. To a lot of people who are not very well versed in branding, branding is about your logo, maybe your colors, maybe your typeface, maybe you have a logo mark like the Nike swoosh that people can recognize pretty readily. Although, by the way, Nike has spent millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars, probably close to $1 billion in advertising over the past 25 years to create that branding and get that awareness out there. But for B2B companies, it's critical too. So it is, branding is definitely your logo, your typeface, your logo mark, your colors and whatnot. But it's also, especially for B2B companies, your customer service, what people think about you, your reputation, how you deal with your customers, how you present yourself in other avenues beyond just graphic design. This branding is actually a much larger concept in general, but especially for B2B businesses, it's a very important concept to grasp because it will drive a lot of your awareness and also going down the funnel, as we'll talk about in the following weeks, that branding has actually a tremendous influence on how people see you at each step of the funnel. And also their interactions at each step of that funnel influence your branding in return. So there's kind of this kind of weird symbiotic relationship there. By branding, to make a long story short, is very, very important to B2B businesses.
And as a marketer, I'm obsessed with metrics and measuring things and ROI and stuff like that. What do you think is the most effective way to measure awareness? I mean, it's kind of difficult, right? You don't get an amount of sales, you don't get an amount of leads. What are some key ways that you measure awareness?
Yeah. So first, I have to say that because you're obsessed with analytics, you're my favorite type of marketer. Analytics are really, really critical. So that makes me very happy to hear that. But kidding aside, yeah, measuring your awareness, whether it's in the B2B side or the B2C side of the coin, is pretty difficult. The best way, honestly, is something that probably most marketers don't want to hear, but it's market research, primary market research. So doing a survey of your target market with a sample that's representative of your target market, and and seeing how many people know you, I've heard of you. So there are different types of surveys that you can do, or market research studies that you can do. One is called an aided awareness. The other one is non-aided or unaided. And so in one of them, you ask people, have you heard of, so and so? And the other one, you just ask them, name companies, in this specific industry, specific market. But so that's the best way, and you can get by with about 125 respondents as long as the sample is representative. To have a statistical significant answer to your awareness level in your target market. And typically, doing a study like this would take probably a couple of weeks and cost about roughly about $5 per respondent. And that's by far the best way and the most accurate way to gauge your the level of awareness you have in your target market. That said, because it's kind of long and painful and also monetarily, pretty expensive for small companies. You can use proxies. And the beauty of digital marketing is that we have a lot of data, a lot of analytics, but you can use proxies like, visits to your website, amount of connections and likes on LinkedIn, on Facebook, if you have a Facebook profile. And you can also look at things like, Google has amazing search tools and a search console. You can look for your company's name and see what the level of searches for your company name, your company's name are. So those are not incredibly accurate, much less so than the market research that I talked about a few minutes ago. But they do work, and you can get a sense of where your awareness is at. And also, even better, even if the absolute number might not be super accurate, you can also track that number over time by using those same metrics and see whether the marketing that you are engaging in is moving that needle and changing the trends in your awareness proxies.
So having this social media presence is very important, especially LinkedIn, right? This was a social media for B2B, essentially. What do you think are some elements of great awareness across social media? What have you seen on LinkedIn or Facebook that B2B or even B2C companies are doing for awareness?
Yeah, so look, LinkedIn and Facebook are probably for B2B companies the best tools in social media. Social media is definitely critical. Unfortunately, in this day and age of marketing and digital marketing specifically, there is no more silver bullet. You have to do a lot of different things to get in front of your target market. But those two tools for most B2B companies will be really effective. And pretty efficient tools, and you can use those tools organically by creating content and distributing that content through Facebook, through LinkedIn, to create that awareness, which is a great way to do it. You can also obviously use less organic and more monetarily involved tools such as paid social ads on Facebook and on LinkedIn, which work also pretty well. Typically you pay per click, so you can do as much as little as you want, but those are great ways to generate awareness of your services and products and or brand in a B2B social media space. It's kind of difficult to answer though, because if you're not in a target market that is what a company is advertising or targeting to, then you're not going to see those ads if they do their job well. If you're seeing them and you're not the target market, that means they're probably wasting some of their advertising and marketing dollars on not reaching exactly the target that they have. But I've been kind of struck by the fact that a lot of companies that have both a B2C component to their business and a B2B component to their business do, to me, the best job of creating awareness of their products and services in the digital marketing spaces that we talked about, so Facebook and LinkedIn. And so I think about companies like IBM or HP, for instance. HP, they sell printers and computers to people like us, but they also sell them to businesses, right? And so they using a lot of the tactics and the branding they built on the consumer side to actually target small and medium-sized businesses. And their campaigns tend to be incredibly efficient. I mean, those are very well-trained marketers that know what they're doing, know how to target, know how to talk about their brand, and know exactly how to talk about that to a specific audience. And they're doing typically a very good job. I mean, I've been very impressed actually by HP in many different verticals over the years, but how they talk to small businesses and medium-sized businesses and do that very efficiently and effectively.
What do you think some of the obstacles that our clients at Boomtime are seeing, before they contact us? This is part of the funnel that we help them strengthen, right? So what are some common problems that we're seeing at Boomtime?
Yeah, so we're seeing a series of problems there. And that's problems that we can pretty easily solve with our clients, and I think do a really good job of solving for them. But one of them is a lot of our clients don't have a very good sense of what their target market or addressable market is, and therefore have are thinking about their digital marketing, especially at the top of the funnel, as just a kind of a qualitative exercise. And I really believe, as you do, in analytics and being able to measure what we do so we can manage it better and make sure our campaigns are the best that they can be. So there's always that kind of like a little bit of a tug of war or discussion at least that needs to take place over most of our clients in terms of setting the parameters for our campaigns and getting them to understand what the numbers should look like and what numbers to track and to monitor to make sure that we are doing a good job for them. And so especially at the very top of the funnel, as you talked about, and for awareness, having a sense of what the addressable market is, what the KPIs should be for a specific campaign, and then what the targets for those KPIs are and what is reasonable to expect is something that we spend quite a bit of time, or maybe not enough time, but should be spending more time with our clients on, and definitely can help them with, because that's it's very hard to create to develop an awareness campaign and then run it, and then not without having set the benchmarks and the thresholds that tell us that we are doing a good job. The second one is I think the issue of that I mentioned a little bit ago about digital marketing not having a single silver bullet for any given campaign. There are literally hundreds, not thousands of tactics or companies and tools that can help you with those tactics within digital marketing, even with the slightly more focused word of mouth marketing campaigns that we do. There's still dozens of tools or tactics that we could use. So what's really difficult for our clients, and we're really helping them with, is picking the right tools for the job. So it's all a matter. And when I started doing direct marketing, snail mail a long time ago, the big concept was send the right offer to the right person at the right time. And it's still very, very valid in everything that we do in digital marketing, right? We have to make sure we can target precisely, that we can send, the right kind of content, basically, in terms of it's not an offer anymore, it's content. And then that we are doing that at the right time. So timing and cycles in campaigns are really critical too. But these are, this is combined with what tools do we use, right? Do we use LinkedIn ads, or do we use LinkedIn connection campaigns? Do we use Facebook? Do we use email marketing exclusively? If we create content, what kind of content do we create? And so on, and on and on and on and on. And this is very overwhelming to a lot of our clients. And this is where we come in. And with all the experience that we have and the expertise in our team, we can, and also the data that we look at on a regular basis, we can really create these packages and these integrated marketing campaigns that work for our clients and kind of remove this a sense of burden that they have of looking at not being able to have or not having the skills or the experience to kind of sort through that mass of potential things that can be done. So we take care of all of that for them and really help. And at the same time, we educate them in that respect. And I think that those are, goal setting and analytics, and then putting together the correct strategy, given this incredibly complex environment that they're playing in and we're playing in, is something that is very, very critical for our customers, especially at the top of the funnel.
Yes, I agree. And, just want to emphasize that goal setting and KPIs is huge, right? Setting these benchmarks and watching them over time. You can open your web analytics and see that you have 10,000 web hits and it sounds great, right? But if it's an arbitrary comparison to what you think is a lot of web hits and you had 17,000 3 months ago and you don't even know, it's really important to track these trends and see what you're doing to move these needles.
Our team at Boomtime has heard me many times already talk about context and I mean, having context in our in analytics is critical. As you mentioned, we're sending 10,000 people to a website. Great, right? Well, if your addressable market is 1 million people, that's not that great. If it's 15,000 people, then we're doing incredibly well. So context, KPIs, and a sense of what the analytical landscape looks like is critical.
Well, thanks, JP. That was really a lot of good information. Next is week 2, where we're getting into messaging and voice and copy. These are kind of the first introduction that people will have to who you are as a company. And so we'll be diving into that in week 2 of our 8-week series on the marketing funnel. This is a Boomtime word of mouth podcast. Like and subscribe and do your notifications and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Boomtime Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast. For more episodes and to learn more about us, check us out at boomtime.com.